the prophetic revelation I'd like to share with you this week is about a dream I had about phones being stolen. So in my dream, 2 or 3 people's phones were stolen. Now, when we look at the meaning of this dream, it refers to our communication, because our devices, or what we communicate on, our mobile devices, we communicate with each other. Now, what could God be talking about? Well, communication in the kingdom of God often has to do with our relationship with God, our prayer life, our getting quiet, our times where we hear Him, and our times when we talk to Him, and also obviously our communication with one another. So with God saying that this is stolen, it means that the enemy has an assignment to steal people's belief in what God has spoken to them, and to steal that relationship with the Lord. So an attack possibly on prayer life, an attack possibly on your relationships with each other. And so at this time, I just want to encourage you to keep praying and keep seeking the Lord, and also keep believing God. There's certain prophetic promises that He's spoken to us about even this year or during this lockdown. Maybe He spoke something at the beginning of the lockdown and you're kind of like losing, or there's doubt and unbelief developing in that area. I want to encourage you afresh to keep speaking those promises, keep contending for them, keep looking them over, keep them at the forefront of your heart, because we do not want the enemy to steal from us. And one of the things he did with Adam and Eve in the garden was he said, did God in fact say? And so when he said that, they immediately started to doubt and to justify what God had actually said. And that's where the enemy comes in and he steals. So I want to encourage you to hold on to that place with God. I want to encourage you to seek Him every single day for a fresh revelation. Don't go on yesterday's revelation. If I don't speak to my husband every single day, we are not going to have a very good relationship. And so it's important that we seek Him every day, because He needs to give us the strength to get through the day. He needs to confide His heart. He needs to reflect His heart to us, and we need to catch what He's saying in order to get through. So this is very important. And make sure that you're holding on to your relationship with one another, and you're staying in communication with people. So one of the things I was looking at was in 2 Chronicles. It's chapter 15, but it's verse 8 to about verse 17. And basically this was talking about a reformation that happened under Asa. So one of the things that happens in a reformation, well, obviously revival isn't good unless a people is reformed, unless a nation is reformed. And so oftentimes when God brings interruptions like this into our lives, it's so that He can reform us. It's so that our personal breakthroughs can result in a corporate breakthrough. And so one of the things that happened over this reformation was that the idols were dealt with and removed. So we often have idols, and we set up idols in our hearts, things that take the place of Christ, things that we're drawing from instead of Him. And God deals with these idols in Reformation. God, it also says in verse 9, He gathered all of Judah and Benjamin and all the strangers who were with them. A gathering happens when there's a reformation. So don't neglect gathering. It's important that we spend time with people, and gathering results in reformation. Another thing that happened was they sacrificed to the Lord. He will call us to a place of sacrifice. He often does. And when He does say yes, it's worth it. He wants to do a reformation in your life. Another thing is they made a covenant. It says in verse 12, they entered into a covenant to seek the Lord their God of the fathers with all of their heart and all of their soul. And whoever would not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, was put to death. So, they made a covenant, which means they came into agreement with God to seek Him with all of their heart. And it's funny how they say the people who didn't were put to death. What death could we relate this to? A metaphoric death, a spiritual death. So what happens is you can die spiritually if you're not committed to seeking God with all of your heart. It's important that we do this. What I love in verse 15, it says that they sought Him with all of their heart, and He let them find Him. So God is going to reveal himself to you if you seek him with all of your heart. He let them find him. He's not going to give us on this treasure hunt where we're praying every day and seeking him and we can't find him. That's not what this says. It also says in verse 16 that they removed King Asa's mother from the position of Queen Mother because she had made a repulsive image. So what happens in Reformation is a repositioning. So don't get upset or uncomfortable when you are repositioned. God does this in Reformation. You might feel uncomfortable because you've had to leave places behind, but take heart. He does reposition, and let's just trust him for that. So friends, let God reform you in this time. Don't let the enemy steal the prophetic words. Don't let the enemy steal your Rhema word. Don't let him steal the promises. Contend for them. Stay in fellowship with one another. Stay in fellowship with the Lord. And oath, make a covenant to seek him with your whole heart.